26th. Meeting, it starts at 6:35 this time. Can we do roll call, please?
Councilmember Pache,
Present.
Vice Mayor Deanda,
Here.
Mayor Stevens.
Here.
Thank you. And we have Dr. Resendez and Councilmember Morales absent.
Okay. And then I'm going to ask Vice Mayor Deanda to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Ready, begin. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Thank you for that. So let me check in with our city manager. Do we have anything to report on the previous closed session?
I want to make sure that you had the 8:47 p.m. time when it was adjourned.
Thank you.
And no, we do not have any items to share with the public from that closed session.
Okay, thank you. So we'll move on to public input. So this is the time for anyone in the audience, both virtual and in person, to speak on any item that is not on the agenda, but within the subject matter jurisdiction of the council. Speaker cards are available in the lobby and are to be completed and given to the city clerk before speaking. When the city clerk calls your name, please come to the podium, state your name and city for the record, and speak to the council. If you are joining us via Zoom, please click on the bottom of your screen to raise your hand. If you are joining via Zoom using a cell phone, press *9. Each speaker will be given will be limited to 3 minutes with a maximum of 30 minutes per subject matter. Please note that state law prohibits the city council from discussing or taking action on any item not on the agenda. Do you have any speaker cards for this one?
Yes, Mayor. Noel Provost, followed by Frank Garcia.
Noel Provost, Hollister, California. On June 9, 2026, KSBW Channel 8 News ran a story about the Hollister Police Department having a staffing shortage. The story led viewers to believe that officers were leaving Hollister Police Department for departments that offer better pay. While this comment is probably true, it doesn't answer why these officers were leaving Hollister PD, and that's why I'm here today. Over the past 19 months, the Hollister PD had 9 sworn and 3 non-sworn leave the Hollister PD. They left because Hollister PD sergeants and management lacked strong ethical leadership, rigorous accountability, continuous training, proactive communication, and strict constitutional policing. I only have time to give you just one example. On September 9, 2023, the Hollister PD sergeants and management implemented a quota system. Quotas for each officer per day was any combination of 5 citations, arrest, field interviews, or crime reports. Any officer who spoke out against this directive or any other questionable directive would risk having the department target the officers with harassment, bullying, and intimidation tactics until the officer resigned from HPD. Let's be perfectly clear. Quotas have been illegal since 1977. The Hollister Police Officers Association and their attorney met with Chief Reynoso, then sent him a cease and desist demand. The Hollister PD quota system was officially ended in April of 2025 after 19 months. But the damage was done. Officers were leaving. Hollister City Hall commissioned a third-party investigator named Jim Vogue to do an investigation into the Hollister Police Department. The investigation began in March of 2025 and ended in May of 2026. I believe the findings of this 14-month investigation will reveal why officers don't stay with the Hollister Police Department. I believe that this investigation will reference a hostile work environment and bullying. I submitted a public records request for the City of Hollister for a copy of Jim Vogue's investigation, but I was denied a copy. The reason being that this was an attorney-client privilege. That begs the question, who are the clients and why are they being represented by a City of Hollister attorney? A lot of taxpayer money was spent in this 14-month investigation, including attorney's fees, losing 12 people, and recruiting and hiring 12 more people. And the taxpayers of Hollister have the need to know and the right to know the cost and the contents of the investigation they paid for. Accountability and transparency are necessary necessary if you want change to happen. Otherwise, in a couple of years, we will be doing this again. You can't change a culture by ignoring it. And if I'm wrong about any of this, then bring out the full investigation and show us. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Provost. Other speakers?
Frank Garcia, followed by Stacy McGrady.
Welcome back, Mayor. Good evening, Council. Tonight, I want to talk about direction, good faith, and accountability. On June 22nd, this council was presented with a workforce reduction process, retirement incentives followed by voluntary separation incentives. The workforce was also told there would be engagement and good faith discussions. Your former Public Works Director and City Engineer raised concerns. Your utility supervisor raised concerns involving storm, sewer, and water, including staffing, emergency response, institutional knowledge, and whether requested schedules reflected the work being performed. Your operational leaders didn't stay silent, they spoke. They put their concerns in writing. The question is, did what they say matter? Because good faith cannot simply mean checking a box. There was no discussion of using the remaining funds from the $300,000 retirement incentive for layoff severance until July 23rd. I asked, what would happen to those funds? And was told they would be used for layoff severance packages. When did the process change and who changed it? I asked, what happened to the voluntary separation? I was told, not off the table. Then came August 3rd. One council member questioned whether this council had ever authorized using those remaining funds that way. A member of this council was asking whether this council had authorized it, so I have to ask. If a council member had to ask whether council authorized it, shouldn't that concern the entire council? And that raises a bigger question. Was the direction of this council being followed? Employees are expected to follow direction. If we don't, there could be consequences. So why should accountability be different for a city manager? And when I use the word pattern, I use it deliberately. We have reported statements, informal grievances, written concerns from operational leadership, and concerns taken directly to HR. This isn't one comment, one employee, or one disagreement. How many times does a concern have to be reported before it becomes a concern of this council? We're asking for the same standard from the city manager, not a higher standard, just the same standard. Councilmember Morales told me something that stuck with me. She said, Frank, when you think of a problem, think of a solution. So I did. Sit down with us. Go through the process with us. Review your own record. Remember June 22nd. Remember what your operational leaders put in writing. And remember August 3rd. Is this the process you directed? If it is, show us where. If it isn't, who changed it? And if employees are expected to answer for their conduct and follow direction, why shouldn't the city manager be held to the same standard? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. Other speakers?
Stacy McGrady, if you could please unmute.
Hi, Stacy McGrady. I live in Toledo County. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, thank you.
So I guess I'm following on a theme tonight, and I first and foremost need to say that I completely support and applaud Mr. Provost for his comments. I want to know when the city is going to release the financial reports from the 2025 and 2026 motorcycle rallies, complete and in their entirety as requested by the grand jury. Specifically for me, what I want to know is how much did the city pay Ignacio Velasquez to rent his building, the vault, for the motorcycle rally? If we're being truly transparent, those records need to be available. And if they're not going to be made available, then you're not being transparent. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. McGrady. Other speakers?
We have no more speakers.
Okay. Okay, thank you to all the speakers. We're going to move on to the consent agenda. So do any members of the council have any brief questions about the consent agenda items?
I just have a comment.
Okay, on which
brief.
item?
6.2.
Okay,
Yeah, I just want to just say thank you to everybody, working with the city on the financial oversight task force, our very own Councilmember Morales, Omar Rosa, thank you. Christina Reyes, always wonderful, thank you as well. Julie Roybal, thank you for helping out. Sean Herrera and Michael Brigantino, thank you for helping the city out and having some, oversight on our financials. And, you've got the same 24 hours in the day we've all got, and you're paid a little bit to be on this task force. But I just want to say thank you for everybody involved. Appreciate it. Means a lot.
Mayor, if I
okay,
may.
great.
At this time, staff is recommending that we move forward with the appointment of Councilmember Morales, Omar Rosa, and Julie Roybal, and then give us time to review additional applications.
Okay, okay. And I think that was part of that you still need to go through the process of ensuring everybody meets the criteria and all the other stuff. Okay, so that will be then what will be changed on that item. So can you repeat the three names again?
Councilmember Dolores Morales, Omar Rosas, and Julie Roybal are the appointees to the
Okay, so we'll make that change. Okay, well, let's go to public comment on consent agenda. Any public comments on consent agenda?
No, Mayor.
Okay, so let's bring it back. Any other questions or comments on the consent? Okay, so can I call for a motion?
Move to approve.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so we'll move on from the consent agenda, and we're going to move to, let me get my item 7.1, and this is a public hearing. So I know that we do have a little bit of an issue because we have to have 4 members of council present. So I'm going to turn it over to the city clerk to explain a little bit about those requirements.
Yes, so for these items, we require a 4-member vote for them to pass. Since we don't have that quorum met today, we would recommend that you open the public hearing, hear any testimony, and then continue it to the 9/8 meeting to then reopen the public hearing if you wish and call for a vote.
Okay, so apologize for any inconvenience, but we did have some last minute things come up with 2 council members and they couldn't be here. So I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing at, let me check the time, 6:48. So do we have speakers for the public hearing?
No, Mayor, no public speakers.
Okay, so then I'm going to leave the public hearing open, and at the next city council meeting, we will be looking at the approval for the initiation of general plan amendments and pre-zone for 3 project sites. So we will continue that and have that heard at that time and have the vote at that time. So we're going to keep the public hearing open. Okay. So we're going to go ahead then and move on to item 8.1, a resolution rescinding resolution 23-164 and approving the new traffic calming measures requesting, I'm sorry, let me reread that. A resolution rescinding resolution 23-164 and approving the new traffic calming measures request policy and procedures. Okay, so can we get a staff report?
Madam Mayor, council members, I should have asked the Vice Mayor, do you want to address this since you've provided the brain power for this, or do you want me to address it? So through the guidance of the Vice Mayor, we were having a conversation about how to interpret the speed hump policy that we currently have. The Vice Mayor pointed out that it is not about just speed humps. It's about every possible traffic calming measure. that the city needs to have a policy framework that addresses all possibilities to calm traffic, from landscaping to speed humps and everything in between. So what we have in front of you is a suggestion of rescinding the resolution that is strictly focused on speed humps and instead broaden the focus so that we look at all traffic calming measures. So for example, if in my street, I believe that there is a traffic speed problem, I reach out to the city. There is a process. I fill out the form. I go to all my neighbors that are required to sign off. I get what I need. I submitted it to the city. The city, through its traffic engineer, will then make a determination. Is it a speed hump? Is it stripes? Is it flashing beacons? Is it landscaping? There are so many different ways to calm traffic. Speed hump is not the only solution. So we are allowing the subject matter expert to make a determination, given the problem, what is the right solution? Or, as it may be in some cases, that after further analysis, it is determined that in fact, there is a perceived problem, but not a real problem. And in such situations, no measure is taken. What's in front of you has a process for a resident who says, I disagree with the traffic engineer, I will appeal that decision. We offer that path. Different from the policy, right now, the policy that focuses on speed humps, the policy that we are proposing is one that keeps this question of what type of traffic calming measure do we need, if any, at the staff level. So what we're suggesting is that the council provides us with the policy direction if in fact a comprehensive traffic calming measure policy is what you want to put in place. And then we let the traffic engineer make the determination. If traffic calming is needed, what is the right approach? So that's what's in front of you. In fact, it would rescind not only 23-164, but really any other legislation policy that we have out there that would in any way conflict with what's in front of you. Clearly, this is a decision, a complicated decision. We felt that it was important to bring it to you now, and I don't expect an action today. If you want to bring this back for further consideration so you have time to review it, we're more than happy to agendize it for a later meeting. Do you have any questions?
Questions?
So I just have one quick question. So when a traffic calming like feature, anything, a roundabout, speed bump, a road reorganization, it can't be changed for a year. Like we need to gather data and see how the traffic calming actually worked out, and then we can review it after a year.
That is correct. We give a time for the calming measure to be tested.
Yeah.
It could be that it is effective, or we can find that it is not effective. Something more permanent, like a roundabout, for example, would be something we would probably stay away from. But speed humps, flashing beacons, striping, landscaping, different configuration for lines, there are many things that we can do that are not permanent.
Mm-hmm. So with this new policy, it sounds like there's a process, there's a framework, there's a steps that we can, after it's been in for a year, we can see how it's functioning and how it's impacting people's lives. Because the documentation says that traffic calming saves police, and there's a lot of good things to it, but there's a lot of it's kind of like a double-edged sword. It's a coin that has two sides. So after, that year, we can initiate, the community can initiate a review of the features.
We will know. So one thing that's wonderful about traffic calming is that the community is very proactive in letting us know when something is working or is not working. So let's just say, for example, we decide that we will do landscaping in a particular intersection. And then we continue to get complaints about that same intersection. Well, then that tells us that the landscaping isn't working. And so now we get to address that at, okay, is there something else? Well, maybe we need to have some striping that would slow down both sides of the road, etc. So self-policing is what's great about traffic controls, more so than in other areas, that I do think the community, especially those who requested the change, will not be shy to let us know if it's not working.
Okay. Yeah, I would love to hear more about this because it's definitely something that people have reached out to me. Central Avenue specifically, where we have the center of the road. It used to be like a really wide road, and there was a lot of parking on each side. Now it's just gotten tighter with this center section that's not in use. So I'll let these members know that they have a process now. Thank you.
And please also, I received your email today. The issue also exists that whether it's a speed hump, whether it's a landscaping or stripes, if it's not well maintained, it's a liability. So by all means, we will treat that seriously. I know that Mr. White, who is now leading the Public Works Department, has a very concrete and clear work plan on how to ensure that specific parts of our city have been addressed. For example, the one that you shared with us has been addressed. That's the good news.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And if I can just add a little bit of a reframe, because I think ultimately the traffic calming measures that we hope to put in place is really about as best as we can, make our streets as safe as possible for cars, people on bikes, pedestrians, just in general, looking at safety. That's really what it's ultimately about. It will create, it could create some inconveniences for the general public, which is part of what are some of the complaints that we heard about the speed humps. People didn't like them. They didn't like the way it felt when they were driving, what it did to the cars. And clearly it slowed people down, which is the intent. But those are the things that we want to balance out, right? We want to make sure that we're not being so exaggerated around safety that then people can't get around, and it's like super, super, super inconvenient. However, we always want to prioritize safety as we're considering these things. I just want to check really quick. I believe Binu Abraham, who is the executive director of COG, the Council of Governments, which works on issues related to our highways and roads and public transportation. I believe she's on Zoom. Binu, are you on? I think she was gonna be standing by. Let me check. Is she on?
Yes, she's on the line.
So Binu, are you able to unmute and just? I just want to what I would like for you to chime in on. I asked Binu if she would be willing to be on standby in the event that there was any questions around what calming measures we would be considering for within the city limits of Hollister, how that would then play with the broader plan for roads and transportation and safety measures that are happening all over the county and specifically on our highways. But what I'm going to ask you, if you don't mind, Binu, if you can just talk to us about what you and I spoke about earlier in terms of as I view you as an expert in roads and safety concerns around roads and traffic, like what are some of the things that your thoughts are around calming measures for jurisdictions to consider as they're moving forward in updating any kind of policies or practices?
Good afternoon, council members. I'm assuming you can hear me.
Yes, loud and clear. Thank you.
Good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity to talk about this a little bit. In terms of what a traffic calming measure the city should implement, or where it should implement, and how it should be implemented, I fully trust the city public works department to handle that. My only perspective is regarding how we at COG, as a regional transportation agency, look at traffic calming measures or any of this measures that take into consideration safety and condition. Typically, traffic calming measures are put in place either to address a safety issue, or it is a quality of life thing, or it is to handle or manage congestion. So these are the three reasons typically we consider traffic calming measures. And what a lot of us forget is when we talk about safety, we are talking about the safety of, how cars are safe. But we typically forget to consider that a road for transportation purposes is considered a mobility, a source of mobility for all users, regardless of whether you are using your personal cars, pedestrians, bike, emergency service vehicles, transit vehicles, or whatever else that you need. They are all given equal importance. In terms of the number, you're going to see more cars because that's just going to be the highest proportion of people using that facility. But when you consider safety, you should consider safety for all these people that I mentioned about. And if you are just slowing down the cars, but not considering the other safety factors, that is not going to work in the long term. And I'll just give you an example for that. If you are putting a speed bump near a school, I would look into it as, what are we trying to do? Are we trying to reduce the speed of cars coming in there? Because you also have to consider the safety of the pedestrians and the students coming on there. Or are you trying to manage congestion? If you are trying to manage congestion, where are those people going? So 1,000 people are going to come to drop off the kids in the morning and in the afternoon. Where else are they going? Are they going to go into a side street, which now is not equipped to handle this kind of traffic? So now the unintended consequence of you putting a traffic calming measure on a street is that a neighboring street is going to have a problem. And there it might show up as pedestrian safety. So my recommendation is, when you look at it as a whole system rather than a road. That's how I would look at it.
Okay, great. Thank you for that, Binu. Let me, excuse me, let me check in with my fellow council members to see if they have any specific questions, more broad questions. She's not here to speak specifically on what we should do on our policy, but just in general, given her expertise. Any general questions for Binu? Excuse me. Okay, well, thank you so much for that, Bino. I really, really appreciate your thoughts around this. I mean, I think those are a lot of things for us to consider as we move forward, really good things. So thank you, Bino. So let me check in. Do we have any public comment speaker cards on this item?
We do. We have
Okay,
Ada, followed by Stacy McGrady.
Yes, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes, hi, I'm so sorry, I am kind of late. I'm actually calling regarding to section 7.1. Off topic, I'm not sure if it was covered or not, but I'm just trying to see what the status was at on the approval of my parcel.
Yes, that item was continued to the September 8th meeting.
Is there any reason why?
We do not have
Can
the
you-
quorum present that the vote requires.
Sorry, you're saying you don't have additional members currently available to discuss the topic, is that correct?
right. So we have to have 4 people present for an item such as that. And so please feel free to contact city staff or any one of us about the postponement. But we do have to have 4 people here on the dais, and we don't. Today, we had 2 last-minute unexpected absences from council members, so we aren't able to vote on that. But please feel free to contact us since we're now moved on to another item.
I have, I've been waiting for 20 years.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Okay. Thank you, sir. And then, so the next speaker,
Stacy McGrady.
okay, go ahead.
Stacy, if you could unmute.
So I have to wait for the little thing to pop up from your end so that I can unmute, so I apologize for the delay. I'm so glad that this topic came up tonight. I happen to have the great opportunity to serve on the civil grand jury the last time, or the first time that the traffic calming measures and the lad lane, I don't know what you want to call it, fiasco, for example, all came up. And so we conducted lots and lots of interviews in regards to the traffic calming measures that were implemented. So I would just highly encourage the city to solicit input from public safety, the fire chief or representative, since we don't currently have a fire chief apparently, and the chief of police for their input on traffic calming measures. It caused a lot of problems actually last time with the speed humps and speed bumps and traffic calming measures that were implemented. Caused a lot of problems for our public safety. So let's don't make that same mistake again. Get input from all of the stakeholders, not just the people that you think should have input. And you can refer back to the civil grand jury report, I think it was about 4, maybe 5 years ago. And then, I don't know, but if you want to make people really, really, really happy, take out the backward parking from downtown Hollister, and then maybe we could get people to actually come into downtown. Because I don't know if that's traffic calming or just ridiculous, but at least everybody that I speak with, they really, really don't like it, and I can vouch for that. I don't like it either. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. McGrady. Other speakers?
Those are all the speakers for this.
Okay, so bring it back to the dais. And so further discussion, what would we like to have staff do with this item so that we can bring it back for, I guess, maybe consideration? What are your thoughts?
I think at this point, after all the input and the information that we received from she's a member of COG, correct? Right. Yeah. So, and then what we got from the city manager, I think it's best that we wait.
Okay, but well, we need to give direction on what we're going to do. So we'll bring it back.
Back,
'cause
yeah, but that's what
right
I
now
meant,
it's
yeah, bring
just
it back.
discussion.
Yeah.
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 And what would you like for them to do when they bring it back? Like what are your thoughts about what should they bring back?
I'm still processing that.
Do you have any comments, Councilmember Pache?
I'm happy to move forward with whatever you guys think. I'm just happy that there's a formal process for review of the traffic features and calming features that we're utilizing. I'm happy that there's just a path forward for potentially modifying some things if that's what the community wants. So I don't exactly have direction. I'm just pleased to hear that there is a way forward.
So my thoughts are that if this is possible, I'm looking at the city manager, to bring back a draft of an ordinance of a policy that has some basic information that we can chime more into, considering all the things that we just sort of talked about right now. I mean, I think the traffic calming, I do like the way Ms. Abraham from COG talked about looking at it from different perspective, not just simply traffic. You know, when we think of traffic, we think of the cars only, but just thinking about it in terms of what are we addressing in the traffic calming policy related to pedestrians, related to bicyclists, related to emergency vehicles, related to all these other things, so that we're sure that we're kind of addressing them. And then also, I think it would make sense to have something specific, at least for our consideration. We may decide later that it's not necessary, that addresses hotspots, I'm just going to call them that, like our schools during pickup and drop off times, and then possibly like parks other areas. I mean, the public speaker talked about the downtown. Maybe there's something specific about downtown that we want to consider. So just having your thoughts related to that, maybe some research around that. I would like to see that. If we have like a draft, then we can look at it and then we can respond to it. And I think the public can also respond to it. So let me check in with you, City Manager. Ms. Cortez, what are your thoughts?
Yes, Madam Mayor, council members, the policy is in your packet, so feel free to edit however you want. It is, it's in the packet, it's public. Any member of the public can also do the same. And any type of input is highly, highly appreciated. What I have here is to make sure that we include language regarding the holistic approach behind traffic calming with a special focus on bikers, pedestrians, and also discussion on the hot spots, or I guess the danger zones. We want to make sure that our schools are safe, that our parks are safe, childcare centers, and so on. So yes, indeed, we will bring it back with
those updates. And then also, I mean, obviously we need to resend, and let me check it. I think what might make more sense is to resend next time when we have maybe more members on the dais, and then at that same time address like an updated draft. What do you think?
That's fine, Madam Mayor.
Let me check in with.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Yes, I think that's terrific. Yeah, one thing that stood out to me was when Ms. Abraham, yeah, okay. What we do in one area or street will impact the other, and how would we approach that? That's kind of what's in my mind right now. So that's essentially the only feedback that I have, but I am in agreement with our mayor on how we want to approach this. Oh.
Yeah, I am as well.
Okay, so then we'll consider then like a little bit of an updated version next time, and then we will have further discussion, and then we'll encourage the public to respond and give us feedback. And is next meeting enough time to do that? Okay, so expected then to be on our next agenda, which would be, our next city council meeting, which would be on the 8th of September. That is actually a Tuesday because the day after Labor Day, so it'll be a Tuesday.
Then the 9th, September 9th.
Oh, it's the 9th. Sorry. Oh, oops. Sorry. September 9th.
Sorry, you're right.
No, it is 8th. It's 8th? Okay. It is 8th. Okay, September 8th, Tuesday, the day after Labor Day, which is part of what happens when you have a holiday off that falls on one of our meeting dates. We move it to the next day. Okay, so I think we got direction. I think we know what we're going to do moving forward, and then we will proceed with that item. Okay, so let's move on then to our next item. Our next item under council business is 8.2, discussion regarding potential regulation for spaying and neutering of animals and animal breeding. So do you have a report on it, or do you want me to speak on this, or both?
The only report that I have is that around the dais, we put in Municipal Code 6.20, which was adopted back in 2010. It is the same spirit as the ordinance from Seaside, with a focus strictly on dogs. So that would be, we wanted to provide that just as context, but it is your item, Madam.
Okay, so let me give a little bit of background. So the Vice Mayor Priscilla Deanda and myself, we've met with members of the public regarding some of the animal services and got some feedback. So we also got some feedback from individuals, like by telephone, by email, and essentially through this process. First of all, can I just mention something really quick? And I just want to, I see Lisa Sears in the audience, and I want to thank her because we through some of these discussions, we got a donation from her group to install a pet scanner, and I'm not sure that I'm calling it right, the pet identification scanner. So if they're chipped, then the public, if you find a dog that's just wandering and you want to help that dog, you can bring it to it's at our community center on 300 West Street. And it's just sitting out there, and you just scan the animal, and the directions are there on how to use it. and you will get in contact with the person who is on the other end of that will give information to the owner about where their animal is located, and then the person who found the animal will then later get another phone call about what they can do with that animal. But it's a really cool feature, so that sometimes what happens is that we automatically take a wandering dog to the animal shelter. That is not always necessary. If we can find the owner quickly, then that is a really cool little service that we have now. And then I need to thank the SNP bus and that crew for that donation. But that's just a little aside. But part of the conversation was about how we are servicing animals in Hollister for specifically around issues with our dogs and our feral cats. And out of that, many different ideas about how to move forward to improve the way that we service animals came through those discussions. One of the ideas was around strengthening our spay and neuter policy so it's a little bit more robust, requiring animals to be spayed and neutered so that we can better control the pet population, and in doing so, reduce the numbers of animals that are unwanted that end up at the shelter that create a lot of problems around the care of them and especially their quality of life. So we have a sample ordinance that came out of Seaside. Seaside's a jurisdiction that has had a lot of success with their ordinance in reducing the population. And so we want to consider the possibility of incorporating something similar here in Hollister. So we wanted to bring it to the council so that we can get a broader just view from other members of the council about what their thoughts were around making our ordinance a little more robust. Okay. So that was the history. Anything you want to add, Vice Mayor? The city manager, anything you want to add to that?
No, simply wanted to add the fact that this gift is actually wonderful, and we were able
the scanner, yeah,
to put it at the senior center because it was a pretty central location. And for anybody that follows the Hollister half, I guess is the acronym for the Facebook page, you know that there are a lot of dogs out there and cats, but mostly dogs, that people always wonder, how to read the chip, especially on weekends.
Yeah.
And now it is available 24/7 at no cost at the senior center. So again, a wonderful partnership.
Yeah. And thanks again. Okay, so I am going to first open it up to, do you have any comments, Councilmember Pache?
I'd like to wait for
To hear from the public, okay.
We'll discuss it after.
Okay, let's get some public comment.
Lisa Sears, followed by Marcy.
Good evening. My name is Lisa Sears, and I was born and raised in Hollister. My family has owned the same home here for 85 years until recently. And yet, I still continue to pay to feed the stray and feral cats on that block, as I have for the past 10 years. It's important to point out that these cats have all been fixed and vaccinated through SNP bus. The cat problem in this town is staggering. I see the same problem in Monterey County, where I live, and that's why I've continued to show up and speak out for the animals and for the shelter employees who are tasked with ending their lives when the shelters become overcrowded. No one wants that job. Since 2023, I've attended and spoken at more than 100 government meetings advocating for better outcomes for the animals. And I know everyone on this council wants the same. So let's look at what happened in Seaside, where I live now, and I helped to pass the required spay-neuter ordinance. 2 years ago, the SPCA, which holds our sheltering services contract, increased Seaside sheltering fee from $184 to $245 per pet, a 33% increase. At that time, our intake numbers had remained relatively steady for years without a spay-neuter ordinance. 440 animals in 2022 were sent to the shelter, 438 in 23, and 413 in 24. We knew that if doing the same things the same way, we could expect to continue paying roughly the same for the same same number of animals, but with a 33% higher fee. So we had to do something. So Seaside changed its approach. In 2024, we passed a required spay-neuter ordinance. Our ACO immediately began following up with residents who had repeatedly failed to comply despite prior education, households that were already on his radar because of complaint calls. By the end of 2025, he had achieved 100% compliance among those problem households through fix-it tickets. And this is important. The approach was not punitive. Seaside contracts with SNP-Bus, so everyone receiving a ticket was able to have their animals fixed for $25 or for free if they couldn't afford it. Not one person paid a fine. They simply complied and got their animals fixed. The results were significant. Seaside's shelter intake dropped from 413 animals in 2024 to just 292 last year. That's a 29% reduction, or 121 fewer animals entering our shelter. Now imagine if Hollister's animal shelter had experienced a similar 29% reduction because of a required spay-neuter ordinance. Would an ordinance save every animal? Probably not. It's not a silver bullet solution. But at a time when every city is struggling to balance its budget, preventing animals from entering the shelter in the first place makes far more sense than continuing to pay more to deal with the consequences. So I'm asking you to consider what Seaside has accomplished. We can continue doing what we've always done, or we can try something that's already showing measurable results in neighboring communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sears. Next speaker.
Marcy, followed by Laura James.
Three minutes. Wow. My hat tonight is Vincent's Garden of Hope. We are a animal rescue nonprofit, have been for 2 years now. We started out with the intent of specifically raising money to fix animals. We did have one SNP bus, and then since moved on to working with FAWIS in Watsonville for various reasons. My first concern, if anything happens, is you got nobody here. And I know I get the agendas because I have a business in town and I want to make sure I'm not on anybody's hit list. So I saw this agenda item last Monday. And I reached out to a longtime rescue here. I reached out to another person who should have known, and no one knew that this was on the agenda. You texted her on Sunday, and so then 2 people found out about it. So if you want educated people, knowledgeable people about this subject, you need to invite them to the table.
Yeah.
And you got nobody. I mean, is even animal, I don't know the people, but is Animal Control here? Is Pet Friends here? Is Red Dog Ranch here? Is Cat Crew here? I'm here and I represent Vincent's Garden of Hope, and I'm not sure who Lisa represents, but the point is you can't just hide these meetings behind something that virtually you know nothing about, your staff knows nothing about, but you've got a wealth of information of people who are passionate about this, who know everything about it. So where are they? So I have a little book here, and I would like someone to raise their hand and say, we're gonna form a email list, and we are gonna let the people who want to be notify for the next meetings. So who's doing that? Because that's a take home right now. No one? No one?
I'll create an email.
No, well, we have one. You can pass that along to the city manager.
City manager, you're going to accept this responsibility? Well, there's nothing in this yet. Because nobody's here to put their name in it. I will, and I'll pass it to you. So with 23 seconds, I'm not impressed with the Seaside, no offense to you, because basically what it says is you have to get your animals fixed. But if you don't want to, and you can provide shelter and food and all this other stuff, then you don't have to. But I feel like that's going to be the discussion of a meeting of people who do know how to accomplish this.
Thank you, Marcy.
So
Yeah.
I
Follow up
will,
with Ms. Cortez.
yep, I
Okay,
will talk to you
thank you.
tomorrow. Thanks.
Thank you. Next speaker?
Laura James, followed by Stacy McGrady.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm here tonight to ask again, the city of Hollister to continue this discussion about the implementing a spay neuter and responsible breeding ordinance. I actually am the team of a few people who passed the seaside spay neuter ordinance. We also passed the spay neuter and breeding ordinance in Monterey County. And also Humboldt County is looking to pass the same ordinance that Monterey County passed due to all of the things that happened with Miranda's. We know there's a growing animal crisis across California, and right here in this community, there's a disconnect between the enormous amount of money circulating to animal welfare and what's actually happening on the ground. Large organizations like Best Friends and Humane Society are taking in billions of dollars. And what they're teaching their local communities to do is continue to have overcrowded shelters, continue to have unwanted litters, continue to have abandoned animals and residents trying to find somewhere safe to take them. And at the same time, shelters across California are increasingly operating under policies described as managed intake, capacity for care, and community sheltering. And whatever terminology you use, when animals cannot enter the shelter, the problem does not disappear. It moves into our neighborhoods, and residents are left trying to house, feed, foster, and rehome stray animals, often without the resources, training, or financial ability to do so. Animals remain on the streets longer, they reproduce, some become injured, sick, or neglected, and eventually many of these still end up in our shelter. And this is why we have to address the crisis at the source. We cannot shelter our way out of animal overpopulation. We cannot rescue our way out of it. We have to prevent it. And prevention means spay and neuter services, making it accessible. It means responsible breeding, and it means giving animal control the meaningful tools to address irresponsible breeding before another unwanted litter ever reaches the shelter. So tonight I'm not asking you to write or pass an ordinance from the dais. I'm just asking you to continue this conversation, direct staff to bring this issue back for discussion, talk with your animal control officers, your shelter partners, veterinarians. You can speak with Lisa and I. We're happy to do a presentation. We have a seaside impact report to really show what that looks like. Our work has got the Monterey County Board of Supervisors to actually pass an ordinance. We know what we're talking about. We've been in the streets. We have trapped over 500 cats on our own. We have rescued I don't know how many dogs on our own, and at the end of the day, we cannot let residents be animal control officers. So Hollister, you have an opportunity to get ahead of this problem rather than waiting until it becomes more expensive and more difficult for your residents. So I respectfully ask for you to move this forward. Let Hollister choose prevention over crisis. Let Hollister choose responsibility over reaction, and let Hollister choose to lead. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. James. Appreciate the comment. Next speaker?
Stacy McGrady, followed by Susan Hilden.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the comments. Is it working now?
Yes, let me restart your timer.
Oh, thank you. I just was saying that I really appreciate the speakers who came before me. They are much more eloquent than I am. But, and I come at this from a slightly different perspective. I worked at the SPCA. I personally held probably close to 1,000 animals that have been passed over in euthanasia, and it's heartbreaking. And as was said before, we cannot just shelter our way out of this. We need proactive policies and procedures. There is no such thing as an accidental litter, but accidental litters and backyard breeders are mostly responsible for the animals that fill our shelters. I'm so grateful to Lisa for providing the scanner so that people can scan for microchips. But honestly, What that's doing is it's transferring the responsibility of our animal control officers back to the community members. And so that's not right. I mean, I'm grateful that we're able to do it. I'm grateful that we have the community members to do it. But it's the responsibility of our animal control officers to be taking in strays, ferals, animals that are running at large, keep them safe, keep them from getting hit by cars, keep them from getting killed by predators, keep them from getting sick. Feral cats don't live a long and healthy life. And it's heartbreaking to watch. So I fully support an ordinance like this. I think it's critical, and I hope that we will move forward with it as soon as possible. And then hopefully we can move forward with a similar policy, if not the same policy in the county area. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McGrady. Next speaker.
Susan Hilden. And Susan, if you could please clarify, I see your name on two separate devices. If there is only one speaker for the item, or if there are two people there that wish to speak on the item. Go ahead and unmute, Susan.
Are you able to hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. I have to apologize because I'm hearing a terrible echo on my end. So I know there's been some wonderful speakers. I haven't been able to necessarily decipher everything they said. But I was able to catch quite a bit of it. I do want to comment on the microchip scanning station. I think it's wonderful. I think for those of us who know HAF, know that HAF has a consistent amount of people in our county that come to the rescue over and over. And not everybody who does that is able to afford the $100 minimum for a scanner. So it's a wonderful addition. I want to thank Melanie, Lisa. Good job. I think it's going to be able to be utilized well. I do want to, if I may, and thank you all, if I may just speak briefly. I don't have a lot of, a lot of words to say on this spay and neuter issue, other than it's a common sense issue. We are in dire need in the county. You don't need to hear it. I've sat with the mayor. You know how very terrible our population of stray animals, injured animals, continual feral cat breeding. There's just a community of rescues that I've worked with over the years, and they're just a small percent of the population, and that's why HAP really has relied on community members to help bring animals back to their owners. The spay neuter in Seaside, the ordinance itself, sure, you could pick it apart. You could say it's not going to work or whatever, but I think you just need to dig your heels in and go see and meet with the people who have been involved with that. I personally know Lisa Sears has been involved for making this ordinance really happen over the course of, I think, about 3 years. I couldn't hear her real well. But again, it helps the city shelter when you have the ability to stop the backyard breeding. And it also, if you're a legitimate breeder and you're brought forth in some type of situation where you register your breeding, the breed, the specifications, your licensing and such like that, then you really have a more honest, open, kind of clear that a person who's doing that is doing it for a reason, and that they don't mind that there is probably ledgers kept on who they are, where they are, and what they're breeding, versus the person who's breeding the dogs that are, and the cats that are, they're cats a different situation because of the feral population, but especially with dogs, is our shelters can't keep up. So that's what I started out by saying. It's sort of a common sense. We have to approach this.
Thank you, Ms. Hilden.
I would probably implore us to go visit Seaside to see the pros and cons.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Hilden. Appreciate your comments. Other speakers?
I have no more speakers, but if I may real quick, any member of the public who wishes to get notifications on our agendas can visit our website. And at the bottom, if you're on a desktop, there is a sign up for updates section, and you could pick the type of updates you'd like. And there is a city council agenda on there. And every time an agenda gets published, we also send a notification to your email with a link to our website. So that's one way that you could get notified.
Okay, great. Thanks for that information. Appreciate that. Okay, so I'm going to bring it back to the dais for further questions or discussions. So we brought this item as a point of discussion. So we want to, I guess, just get a feel for the thoughts of the rest of the council. And I realize that we don't have all our members here. However, wanted to get a sense of where everybody's thinking is, because I do agree with the general sentiments of the public that we should have an ordinance that's more robust than what we have right now related to spaying and neutering and stray animals. So anyway, let me check in with either Vice Mayor Deanda or Councilmember Pache for your further comments or questions.
Yeah, I just have a quick comment. You know, I think we've all seen a stray cat out there on the streets. It's kind of a hard knock life. You know, they don't live as long. They're unhealthy. It's a rough, way to exist. And then, we've all probably had that, favorite cat that we had when we were kids and how much love that animal got. It's a totally different life. And I'm totally in agreement that, this is an issue, right? I mean, just having a cursory conversation for 3 or 4 minutes with Miss Sears before the meeting. I mean, female cats can have 4 litters a year. They can have upwards of 8 cats per litter. I mean, it's like 30 cats, man. That's a lot of cats. 32, if I do the math, I'm pretty good at math. Just kidding. But seriously, it's a big issue, and it's a tough life. So, and I'm in a total agreement. We have some subject matter experts from Miss Sears. Marcy's is awesome. Always to see you, Laurel, and Stacy. I'm totally in agreement that we can't adopt our way out of this. We can't shelter our way out of it. And we're really going to need to prevent some of these unwanted, feline pregnancies so we can, stop, the flow of kittens, because it's quite a bit, just one cat with 30 plus, other kittens per year. So I'm all in favor, because I've seen one of my friends is on the council for Seaside, and this was a good ordinance, and it has positively affected the community, and it's really positively affecting the cats as well. So that's all I had.
Okay, great. Thanks for those comments. Vice Mayor?
Yes, I have a question, City Manager. So since the town hall, the Animal Services Town Hall, we had an email list of all attendees. Do you know if Leah had emailed those participants about this specific item?
I do not know
Okay.
if that was used.
Okay.
I can investigate, and we can certainly make sure that in the future that is used.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I now I'm starting to think, I don't know, I'll just have a discussion here. Possibly we should hold another.
Well, we're just having an initial discussion.
Yeah.
That is all we're doing today. We absolutely will have future meetings. This is not the only one. I mean, the next one would be to come back with possibly some like research. I mean, we have to give direction to staff. Research on this, maybe a draft, other things, and we will look at it again. And then we will have at least one other meeting before we make any kind of decisions. I mean, I think it's definitely going to take multiple meetings. This is not the only thing. All we're doing today is starting an initial discussion.
So yeah, so I just asked then if when we have this item up again, and when we revisit it, if we could please notify the attendees from our last town hall animal services meeting, please.
In fact, Madam Clerk, we probably should merge both lists because in reality, that is the absolutely best way to make sure that people are in the loop.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, yeah, and I mean, I think that clearly there is an opportunity here to do some prevention. Prevention is always a better strategy than responding to a problem that is existing. So if any way we can prevent. So I think we should, and just as a point of clarification for Councilmember Boucher, we're talking about dogs as well. We're not just talking about cats. And I think the other thing too about the dogs is that, you know, we've all heard stories about somebody's dog had puppies and then they're trying to find cousins or family members to take in these cute little puppies, and that's always a challenge. And then the ones that are not, where they're not able to find a home, those animals, those puppies often end up in the shelter. And then we also have these, like more, maybe we might call them bad characters, who are doing some unethical kind of breeding practices. And so those are the other ones, right? So we have some that are just people that are maybe are not well educated, and they're having their animals are having pups, or these backyard breeders who probably shouldn't be doing this. So we want to be able to address both of those. So I do think that something coming back with some information. I do want us to consider also, Ms. Cortez, around if included in there, we have a requirement that we have some way to assist the public that cannot afford to do that on their own. So we want to make sure that that's somehow addressed in there as well. So we want to, and again, this is just like a point of discussion that we'll have no decisions around what we're doing with that, as well as any costs that would be incurred related to having this ordinance put in place. So I think that would be something important for us to consider. Okay. Anything else? I think if we just start with that, and again, this is just the beginning of the conversation. We look forward to seeing more people come to the meeting when this item is heard again. Let me check with City Manager. Would you be prepared to bring this back by the next meeting, or would we need 2 meetings so that maybe we can give a little bit of a heads up, but also follow up with the alert on the email list?
I mean, to follow up with the email list, like I said, I think we should merge the two, and I think it can be done tonight. As far as coming back to you, given the type of feedback that we have received, which has been very thoughtful and should be thoroughly discussed with different members of the community. So I don't think it's as simple as us going back and making changes and coming back to you. I think what we've heard is that we need to better engage and more effectively engage not only the community here, but frankly, Seaside. And so I do think that it deserves a visit to Seaside, maybe even having speakers from Seaside that can give their actual accounts on how this is working. So if it's okay, I would like to meet with you and the Vice Mayor, since the two of you have taken the lead on animal advocacy. And I'd like to stay away from animal control. It's got such a negative connotation. Yes, there is need for animal control because there are bad people out there, but animals need advocates, and they don't need to be controlled, they need advocates. So if we could have a conversation about how to best engage the community, as you said, this was the beginning of a conversation. It was not intended to be the A through Z tonight.
Yeah. Okay. I do want to put a little bit of urgency behind this, because I worry about some of these things like kind of falling off the radar. So if we can just, let's get that discussion going. And I love the idea of visiting Seaside and seeing that in person and having conversation with staff over there, and then bringing it back as soon as possible after that, so that we can continue to have this discussion at this level with all members. Hopefully the next time it's on the agenda, we will have all members present at the City Council. Okay, okay, so that's what we'll do moving forward then. Okay, so I'm gonna move us along on the agenda. So I think we're at informational reports. Let me double check, make sure I didn't miss something. Yeah, informational reports, so let's start with city manager's report. Oh, wait, let me, I'm sorry, I skipped over the future agenda items. Sorry, I knew I was going to skip over something. The committee assignments, because we were all dark in July, don't think anybody's going to have anything to report. So we will put that, we'll move that on to the next time that we meet, and then city council requests for future agenda items, presentation on tobacco education program at San Benito Public Health, and this was asked to be brought forward by the Vice Mayor. Do you want to speak a little bit on what that issue is about?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. I had a staff member from the San Benito County Public Health, and he just wants to come over and educate the community and the council regarding sharing current information and emerging tobacco trends, so that we're aware of it. And these tobacco companies appear to be getting more clever with their products, and which makes them more appealing to our youth, which is obviously not a good thing. So he just wants to come and just see to educate us on how this is directly impacting our youth here in Hollister and our county. So.
Okay, well, I'm good with that.
I second.
Okay, so I think we're good to bring that back for a presentation from Public Health. Okay, so now I will move it over to City Manager's report.
Madam Mayor, member of the council, my report will be a little bit on the long side today, but not too much, so not to worry. On the 19th, we will be having a police event called as part of the Safe Kids Coalition. It involves bike safety, which, as you know, it is a topic of importance in our city. We continue to work. We have not forgotten the requests from our young bikers that they want a street where they can do their thing. And I will make the promise that by next summer we will have it. We do have a plan. Chief Haley's been very active in trying to identify locations. And for members of the public, someone said we do not have a fire chief. That is incorrect. We've never missed a chief of fire. And so Chief Haley is, as I said, been working really hard and trying to identify some areas that we can open up next year as a safer alternative to being in the streets, doing wheelies and all that kind of stuff the kids do. And I don't know if Captain Betania wants to say anything more about the event on the 19th, Captain? Anything? Sorry, I just gave the council the heads up that we're having this meeting on the 18th about bike safety.
Yes. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Captain Rosie Betani with the Hollister Police Department. We were invited to a Safe Kids Coalition meeting. This is representatives of organizations within our county, and they were asking for some information, safety regarding the e-bikes. So in order they can go back to their organizations and share it as well. So we will be providing about a 10 to 15 minute presentation with them and ask any questions that they have in order to provide a little bit more information on this subject. And that will be on the 19th.
Yeah. And we will continue being more proactive to letting you know. The police department actually has a lot of really cool stuff. And so we'll be more proactive about giving you the heads up when those events are taking place.
And Captain, this meeting is open to the public?
It's not. It's open to members from from different organizations within town that assist with children and their needs.
Okay.
So, and the health department's also the lead of it.
Okay.
So it's mainly organizations.
That are involved in this.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they will go back to their organizations
Yeah.
and share that information. We will be providing flyers in order for them to be able to easily provide accurate information.
Okay, great. Okay, thanks. Thanks for doing that. Thank you.
Have a good night. Thank you.
So continuing with my report, good news is today we signed papers to receive $1.2 million from the sale of Maple Street. And so finally, again, Madam Finance Director, we will be receiving $1.2 million, which it is not to be used for salaries, sadly. So again, just to try to educate the public, these are one-offs. This is a one-time infusion of funds because of the sale of assets. Therefore, these are not funds that we use for operation. To do so would be irresponsible, illogical, and frankly would set us up to fail in the future. Nevertheless, we are happy to receive $1.2 million that now can go back to the various funds that provided the support to acquire the property to begin with. We had the meeting with 3CE. It was actually my first meeting, and there were a lot of firsts this month. Since I arrived, it seems that I have been involved in a number of fires in various departments because of lack of leadership, because of transitions of leadership, many other issues. Having said that, since July, it's been wonderful. We have an incredible management team, a very competent management team that allows the city manager to actually be city manager. So one of the things that I did is I attended my first board meeting with 3CE in Monterey and learned a number of things about energy. It's fascinating. I understand that Councilwoman Morales is the representative for the council. And I am pleased to announce that we enter into a contract to conduct energy audits here in the city of Hollister. So I'll find out specifically what people have to do in order to get those audits. We did have some feedback to provide to the CEO about language, about using nonprofits and so on and so forth. So it's not perfect, but it's coming. Also had the opportunity to attend a fascinating meeting at the San Benito County, at the San Benito Foundation. Speaker Rivers had asked for a meeting to discuss potential partnerships between county, city, San Juan Bautista. So we had a very productive meeting with members of the board of the foundation, as well as the speaker's staff. And they made some challenges for us to meet, and very excited about the possibility of working closely with the county and with San Juan Bautista through the support and convening of the San Benito Foundation, which, you know, one of the discussions was, what is the role of a foundation? And it's not just about money, but it is about convening, it's about facilitating, it's about brokering relationships. So this meeting was a perfect example of that. Bottom line is the speaker would like to have some shovel-ready projects. That's, in so many words, that's what it was about. And we made the commitment, and he wants to make sure that all three jurisdictions are supportive of those concepts. And we indicated that indeed we would be working together to make sure that in the next round, we will have multiple options for him to choose from and provide support. Madam Mayor, do you want to talk about LAFCO, or should I?
Yeah, you go ahead.
Okay, so LAFCO had a meeting last week, and among other things, we went through the municipal services review and also had a conversation about the Toro gas station. I am pleased to announce that that annexation went through. It has been fully annexed, and that it was a very good educational conversation and exchange between the members of LAFCO. Thank you, Mayor, because I think that sometimes when you have bodies that are composed of elected officials, it's hard to remember that you're there as a representative of LAFCO, not the county, not the cities, but LAFCO. And so the conversation really evolved around what are the boxes that you have to check when you're thinking about an annexation. And it has nothing to do with the specific needs of any one jurisdiction, and it has everything to do with the needs of the region. So that annexation went through, and we're happy to report that. As far as our fire chief search, I am pleased to announce that the chief and myself will be screening a couple of applicants in the next few weeks. We've had some interest, and we're excited actually about who's on the table for now. And I can reassure the council, our partners, the unions, that yes, we will have an inclusive process when the time comes. Right now, we're still simply screening candidates. As far as water, we had a meeting at the Water District. Both Mr. White and myself attended this meeting. It involved members of elected officials from other jurisdictions as well as staff. And they provided a very extensive report. So let me first indicate that there's a governance committee. I actually was very confused about the different layers in the district, and now I'm not. There is a governance body. Mr. Pichet, Ms. Deanda, you are part of that committee. It doesn't have a schedule, which is why it's tricky. It happens about twice a year is what I was told. And so I just wanted to highlight that when it happens, it's important for all of us, including staff, to be there. They gave some updates about the master plan accomplishments with basically 4 points of focus. One of them is the Lisol treatment plant, the upgrades, the West Hills treatment plant, the Hollister wastewater reclamation facility, and Richmark wastewater. So they went into some level of detail, not a lot, about the accomplishments in those 4 areas, and also went into a great deal of detail in the A-drop facility. So I'll just share with you my aha moment during that presentation. I thought that the A-drop was to increase capacity, and it's not. It actually has nothing to do with the increase of capacity and everything to do with resilience. And the reason why it's there is because when there's a drought, we can get water from the Central Valley. It's as simple as that. And so because of that situation in the past, the water district does not want to be in that position again. And that's where the A-drop project comes on board. So the narrative that this is to increase capacity, it is incorrect. It is actually to build redundancy in case that we do have another drought, which again, in California, it's very, very likely. We also went through a update on the Sisk Dam and Reservoir Expansion Project. Also a fascinating project that I had no idea. And I learned that we all have to contribute quite a bit of money. So we will be paying close attention to that particular project. These are large CIPs that have that increase our ability to have good water. As you may recall, one of the ongoing narratives that we have is the difference between the Central Valley water and groundwater. Groundwater bad, Central Valley water good. So we want as much of the good water as possible. In doing so, of course, the reason for the governance committee is that's the district's way of making sure that all the jurisdictions, City of Hollister, of course, included, are aware of the expenses, are aware of the changes in the projects, and so on and so forth. So they don't happen very often, but when they do, they are important. Having said that, nothing precludes this body from asking the water district to come and present on the status of these projects. You know, you don't have to go to them, they can come to us as well. And so if the council would like to hear very specific presentations about the various projects, please let us know and we'll make that happen. Mr. White and myself were summoned to come to this meeting, not only to be informed about these projects, but also to explain why we don't have recycled water for the farmers. The gist of it is we need another 6 months. We've been at this for a month and a half. Nitrates are the problem. Again, to cut a long story short, we're at 20 level, we need to be at 10. To do that, we need to make some changes at the plant. Yes, we have been making those changes at the treatment plant. Veolia is the operator. And the changes have not been probably as fast as they should have. We are in the process of trying to expedite things. And let me reassure you that our relationship with Veolia has changed since Mr. White arrives. I think we like his style. He does not take prisoners, and we really appreciate that. So I think that relationship is going to start going in the right direction. As far as notices of violations, we've had conversations. We had a lengthy conversation with the Wallace Group, who informed us about the role that they have had for a couple of decades, just about, with the city. And we are very excited that they're our partners, and also excited that I think that we've built our internal capacity so that reliance on consultants hopefully will begin to diminish. I think it is very important for the city to have its own capacity instead of constantly relying on third parties that are not necessarily even in the city of Hollister to be telling us what we need to do. We had some informal interviews with other providers that would be competition to Veolia. I think competition is good, but as I indicated, I think our relationship with our operator is beginning to change drastically in a good way. So with that said, any questions?
Thank you for that that comprehensive report. I don't have any questions. It was very informative. And let me just check in, Vice Mayor or Councilmember Boucher.
I just have one kind of Hail Mary. So you said Speaker Rivas wanted some shovel-ready projects for us to work on with what, the county of San Benito or?
And San Juan Bautista, yes,
and
the
San
three
Juan
jurisdictions.
Bautista? And what was it? What was that dam project you were talking about? Major capital improvement project?
Yes, this is the Sisk Dam raise and reservoir expansion. We have funding for that project. Unfortunately, we do have funding for that project. It took actually extensive funding from various sources because it is a large one. Let me get to it. Bureau of Reclamation. Here we go. It's about $1 billion. It's about $1 billion, yes. A B with a B. And so we do have obviously lots of partners that will help with this. Interestingly enough, again, another aha moment, that the big part of this is actually Highway 152. It's not even the dam. It is the improvements that have to happen on the road that take almost half of that money. Interesting. So Caltrans.
And that's along 152, that's Sisk Dam? It's near 152?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, but it's already funded, so it doesn't count.
Yes.
For
Yeah,
Robert.
and
It's for
that
Speaker
one's with a
Rivas.
B. I think they're looking for an M as in million.
It's 1,000 million, I guess, huh? Okay, thank you. That's all I had. I don't really have.
Thank you.
Thank you for that report. It's very well done.
Okay, thank you for that. Yeah, really good information. I mean, I think ultimately when we're looking for any kind of support from the state or federal government, they have to be shovel ready. So that's like stuff that we have to always kind of keep our eye out, even though we don't know that the grant money is guaranteed in any way, but it needs to be shovel ready. So, but really good opportunities, I think, moving forward. Yeah.
And council members, Madam Mayor, if I could again just emphasize and repeat, it has been really wonderful, I would say, for the last 6 weeks to be city manager.
Yeah.
And that's only possible because of the highly competent senior leadership team that we currently have.
Good.
It is just wonderful to be able to leave something, know that it's going to be done and it's going to be done right. And so I am thankful to every member of the management team because otherwise, it just would not be possible.
Great.
The fact that I'm actually getting out there and meeting today, I met someone who wants to invest significant funding in our senior center. Okay. So there are things that a city manager can only do by being outside of the office, but I can't be outside of the office if I'm in various kitchens. And what's nice, again, is that I'm in my own kitchen now and it does feel very nice. And I like to think that we would be, that will show some good impact in the near future.
Great. Okay, good. Well, thank you for that. And thank you to the leadership team for all your hard work. We appreciate all your hard work. Okay, so we're going to go into closed session. Do you want to go ahead and read the item, City Manager, for closed session?
We are going to close session. Conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, initiation of litigation pursuant to paragraph 4 of subdivision D of section 54956.9 of the government code.
Okay, so we are going to actually convene in the side room since there's a small group, and then we will officially end the meeting after that. Okay, so we're going to be going into closed session now.